Loyalty still means something in this country. Bill Anderson was a 72-year-old farmer who was losing everything to developers. After 50 years of supporting our troops, his final notice sign caught someone's attention. And 24 hours later, something happened that would change his life forever. Hi everyone, welcome to Tales Unveiled. Let's get started. Bill was a 72-year-old farmer who had worked the same 1,000 acres his entire life. Unlike modern corporate farms, Anderson Farm was a family operation that had served both the community and the military for 3 generations. Every week for the past 30 years, Bill would maintain the special landing zone in his south field, just like his father had done during Vietnam, providing a crucial training area for military helicopters from the airbase 2 states over. The locals all knew Anderson Farm. When young pilots needed night landing practice, Bill would stay up late setting out the markers. His wife Martha would prepare coffee and sandwiches for the crews during long training sessions. "Can't expect our boys to train on empty stomachs," she'd say. Even during harvest season, Bill always kept that field clear, understanding that military readiness couldn't wait for corn to grow. Bill had never caused any problems for the county in 40 years, but when Silicon Valley developer Techscape bought the surrounding land last year, everything changed. The new owners didn't care about military training zones or national security. They only saw prime real estate for their new tech campus, and Bill's farm was right in the middle of their plans. "We're offering above market value," they told Bill. But no amount of money could replace 5 decades of service to his country. The farm wasn't just land. It was a crucial training facility that had helped countless pilots master their skills. Some of those same pilots had gone on to serve in every conflict since Desert Storm. Bill sat at his kitchen table, looking at the final eviction notice. 50 years of Anderson family tradition was about to end because corporate developers didn't understand the value of what they were destroying. His father had maintained these fields through the Cold War, and his grandfather had started the tradition during World War II. But now zoning laws and property developers were about to do what even war couldn't. One by one, Bill watched his neighbors sell out. The Montgomery place next door, where helicopter crews used to rest between exercises, was already marked for development. Down the road, the Wilson family had sold their 200 acres that used to serve as an emergency landing zone. Every night, Bill would sit with Martha in their kitchen, looking at the developers' offers. "I don't understand it," he'd say. "We've been helping train pilots for 50 years. How can they just erase all that history?" Martha would hold his hand, remembering all the young servicemen and women they'd supported, all the late-night training sessions they'd facilitated. But they both knew time was running out. That afternoon, Bill put up a sign with trembling hands. "Notice, military training zone closing. Anderson Farm, serving our forces." Since 1943. Something about writing those words made it all feel terribly real. Below the sign, he added a smaller note. "Thank you for 50 years of service to our country." Bill didn't tell the military at first. He just kept maintaining the landing zone, same as always. But people could see something was wrong. His usual proud stance was stooped when he set out the landing lights. His voice cracked when he radioed coordinates to incoming helicopters. A young reporter came by to take photos. She asked about the farm's history, about what it meant to military aviation training. Bill told her how his grandfather had first offered the land for training during World War II, how they'd supported pilots through Korea, Vietnam, and beyond. He didn't expect much from the article, just another story about progress erasing history. But something about that simple sign and the history behind it touched people's hearts. The photos started spreading through military channels. 5 decades of pilot training ground, gone just like that, one post read. The story gained more attention as people shared memories of Anderson Farm, the night landing training, the emergency procedures practice, Martha's coffee and sandwiches during long exercises. Bill was in his barn that evening when his landline rang. His daughter had been begging him to get a cell phone, but he'd always said the old phone worked just fine. "Mr. Anderson," a voice said, "please hold for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs." Bill almost dropped the receiver. For a moment, he thought it must be a prank, but seconds later, another voice came on the line. "Mr. Anderson, I saw the story about your farm. Tell me about it." For the next 20 minutes, Bill talked with the chairman about service. Not politics, just service. about late nights guiding helicopters in, about watching young pilots become skilled aviators, about teaching the next generation what dedication to country really means, about 50 years of maintaining the same landing zone his father had marked out. "Mr. Anderson," the chairman said finally, "we can't lose training grounds like yours. Give me 24 hours. Bill could hardly hold the phone. His hands were shaking so badly. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs had just promised to help save his farm. After months of thinking all was lost, there was hope. "Martha," he called out to his wife. "Martha, you won't believe what just happened." She came running from the kitchen. "Bill, what is it?" "That was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs on the phone," he said, still amazed. "He saw our story. He wants to help save the farm." Martha started crying right there in the kitchen. After all the sleepless nights, after watching Bill work himself to exhaustion, maintaining those fields, finally someone understood. The next morning, just as Bill finished his morning chores, the sound of rotor blades filled the air. An Apache helicopter appeared over the tree line, followed by 3 Blackhawks. As they landed in his training field, Bill saw the markings. These weren't regular training crews. This was the Pentagon's own fleet. 2 generals stepped out, carrying briefcases. Bill's heart started racing. This had to be about the chairman's call. "Mr. Anderson," one of them said, showing his credentials, "we're here to make sure your farm stays exactly where it belongs, serving the United States military." For the next hour, they sat at Bill's kitchen table, Martha serving coffee while they went through paperwork. The generals explained how the farm would be designated as a protected military training facility, making it impossible for developers to touch it. The military would lease the landing zones, providing the Andersons with steady income while preserving the crucial training area. "Sign here, Mr. Anderson," they said, pointing to the bottom of the document. "This ensures your farm will continue serving our forces for generations to come." Bill's hands were shaking as he signed. After months of thinking he'd lose everything, it felt like a dream. The general smiled as he packed up the papers. "The chairman wanted us to tell you something," he said, standing to leave. "He said to remind you that some things are worth more than money, and supporting our military is one of them." The same day, they also paid a visit to Techscape's offices. The developers' faces turned pale when the military officials walked in. No more fancy talk about property values now. They handed them new paperwork, official orders about protected military installations. "But our development plans," one executive started to say, "have been superseded," the general cut him off, "by national security interests." The developers suddenly found a way to revise their plans, not just for Bill, but for all the surrounding farmland that supported military training. Within hours, other farmers started getting calls. The Montgomery place would stay a rest area. The Wilsons could keep their emergency landing zone. One by one, the threatened farms were being protected. True to his word, within 24 hours, everything had changed. Today, Anderson Farm still stands. Bill still maintains the landing zones, though now his grandson Jimmy works alongside him, learning the family tradition. The training schedules are busier than ever, and Martha makes sure every crew has hot coffee and fresh sandwiches, just like always. Bill still stays up for night training, saying the same thing he's said for 40 years. "Can't expect our boys to learn in daylight only." That closing notice sign hangs in his barn now. Sometimes people ask Bill about the day the chairman called, but he just smiles and changes the subject. He'd rather show them the new landing lights or let them watch the helicopters practice approaches. What happened to Anderson Farm wasn't just about saving one family's land. It showed that sometimes the most valuable things can't be measured in dollars and cents. While developers saw prime real estate, the military saw what Bill had known all along, that some traditions of service are worth protecting.
Love this story? Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Don't forget to check out the video currently on your screen. You won't want to miss it. See you in the next one.